Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, could the Birds sign safety Justin Simmons after he was just released this morning by the Denver Broncos? Also, is Jordan Poyer an option at safety as well, because the Buffalo Bills yesterday cleaned house and he was a cap casualty? All of that coming up right now. Let's get it. I'm Chase Sr., and today's Eagles Now is sponsored by Roan. You can get 20% off by going to roan.com/chatsports. Use the code CHATSPORTS because it's already a week into March. If you haven't spiced up your wardrobe yet, you're just missing out on some high-quality clothing that's really stylish, but also the fantastic deal that we have to offer. Again, 20% off, roan.com/chatsports. I'm wearing their commuter polo right now, and why I love Roan, and it's become really a staple in my wardrobe, high-quality men's clothing, breathable and stretchable fabric. I love the versatility where I can wear this shirt out on the golf course. I can host a show here at Chat Sports. If I want to take down some drinks with producer Jeremy Chuggs, I can do that in a Roan shirt as well. No need to go to the dry cleaner, which might be my favorite part about this, because when I was working in the television business as a news reporter, I always had to go to the dry cleaner every single week. It was the most dreaded thing on my to-do list, because it costs a lot of money and it takes up a lot of time. Wrinkle release technology on the Roan clothing items is absolutely awesome. We're going to put that link down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. It's roan.com/chatsports, and the deal, 20% off your entire order. So Broncos All-Pro safety Justin Simmons, released this morning, doesn't come as much of a surprise because this is the aftermath of the Russell Wilson failure. It goes down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL. And then the contract that he inked with Denver, he made it 2 years. He was so bad, Sean Payton couldn't take him any longer, that he just wanted him to get out of the building. And this move in letting go of Justin Simmons frees up $14.5 million for Denver on the salary cap. They needed to do this just to get under the salary cap. And I think it's so telling that Sean Payton kind of examined 1 year of Russell Wilson, and they're willing to eat and absorb all of that money just for him to play somewhere else. So unfortunately for Broncos fans, Justin Simmons, who's been one of the best Broncos in the history of what has been a historic organization, letting go of him is a byproduct of that Russell Wilson fallout. And I think Justin Simmons is a perfect fit for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to give you a multitude of reasons why. We know that when you canvass this Eagles roster, they desperately need a safety. They were so bad on the back end last year, both at corner and at safety, so he helps you there. He's also a big-time player who makes big-time plays and helps generate turnovers for a defense last year that could not generate giveaways. Justin Simmons, since coming into the league in 2016, has the most interceptions in the National Football League with 30, 5 straight years in which he has made an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl selection. In 4 of the last 5 years, he's been a second-team All-Pro in all of those campaigns. There is scheme familiarity here because he overlapped with Vic Fangio in Denver, and then on top of that, his defensive backs coach last year with the Broncos was Christian Parker, who then followed Vic Fangio to Philadelphia. And when I was at the NFL Scouting Combine last week, we talked to Sean Payton about Christian Parker, and he said he's an up-and-coming coach who we really liked, and he followed Vic Fangio. We're okay with that. Why it also makes sense for the Eagles here, if the Eagles were to trade for Justin Simmons, he was going to have a cap hit in 2024 of $18.2 million. Now, they don't have to worry about that contract any longer, and given his age, his willingness to win, and why this is a scheme fit and a roster fit, I don't think that a player, still of a great caliber, but who's getting a little bit long in the tooth, is going to break the bank. But here's the thing. I still think Justin Simmons is an elite player, and this is an Eagles team that lost Jason Kelce. They might lose Fletcher Cox. He's a team captain, and you're able to bring the leader into that locker room who's a cultural fit. And then lastly, it goes without saying, he makes the secondary better. You look at what he's done over the last 4 years, there's a consistent theme here. He picks off a lot of passes. He reads the eyes of the quarterback. He makes breaks on the football, has good ball skills, is a really good tackler, but also a smart and heady player. He's always going to give you a large amount of pass breakups from that safety spot, and he's going to be able to accumulate a lot of interceptions, and you can trust him with making tackles on that back end in addition to the coverage numbers. Last year, on a Broncos defense that did struggle at times, allowed a completion rate of sub 64%, gave up 3 touchdowns, had 8 pass breakups and 3 picks, and a quarterback rating of 85.9. I get it that a lot of people are probably already down in the comment section saying, Eagles are trying to get younger. I don't want another old safety. But this move makes a lot of sense because taking on his cap it via a trade probably wasn't realistic or anything that Howie Roseman wanted to do. You now don't have to worry about that. And what I think a good plan could be for Philadelphia is if you bring in a player like this who helps you right away for a team that's ready to win right now, and then in a pretty solid safety draft class, you can just draft another safety, and then you have Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Justin Simmons, and a rookie, and those are your 4 safeties right there, instead of bringing in a player like Justin Evans, who has always been hurt and then was hurt again, and then that desperation heave of Kevin Byard, who I think is still a solid player, but his best days are certainly behind him. So should the Eagles sign Justin Simmons? I want to hear from Eagles fans down in the comment section right now. Simply give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I'm going Y for yes on this one. And as you venture down to the comment section, free agency begins on Monday. The NFL has really mastered about a 10-month calendar on the overall calendar year. I mean, we go from the end of the regular season right into the playoffs, Super Bowl, NFL Scouting Combine, into free agency, draft at the end of April. It's awesome, and you don't want to miss our coverage because we have you covered every step of the way as we approach 73,000 subscribers. If the Eagles don't go the route of Justin Simmons, this is a pretty good safety class here, and according to everything I've heard, in free agency, safeties and linebackers could come at an affordable clip. And that's important for Philadelphia here because going into 2023, they were 31st and 32nd in positional spending at linebacker as well as safety, and both of those positions are of the utmost importance for Howie Roseman to fulfill. So you look at the safeties on this list here, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, there's a lot of buzz. He could come back to Philadelphia. Xavier McKinney is going to cost a lot, but he's 24 years old and was terrific last year, playing 100% of the snaps. Julian Blackmon, I like him as a player. Jordan Fuller, Jeremy Chinn, Geno Stone. Kevin Byard could come down at a reduced figure. Jamal Adams, no thank you. Quandre Diggs. And then the last one is Jordan Poyer. And a lot of Eagles fans have reached out to me about this Jordan Poyer buzz. Does this make sense as well? He's going to be even cheaper than Justin Simmons. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 year, $4-5 million. And the Buffalo Bills cleaning house on Wednesday because that Josh Allen contract is really about to set in, making their roster construction somewhat difficult. So because of that, Poyer, like Justin Simmons, was a cap casualty for his respective team. And funny story, he was actually drafted by the Eagles back in 2013, and then he was let go, and then he was picked off of waivers after that, and then he ended up putting together a pretty good career, able to beat alcoholism, which was a great story for him. And my take on Jordan Poyer here, the same issue does exist with him that exists with Justin Simmons. He's an older safety, even older, at 32 years old. But the Eagles have checked in on a lot of safeties this offseason, especially at the NFL Scouting Combine. They're in on C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They're clearly looking to upgrade that safety spot, and I don't think that's an indictment on Reed Blankenship or Sidney Brown. They just need to get better at that position. And I think what the Eagles should do here, address safety in free agency with a vet, and I'm fine with these vets who are still playing well. You saw the signs of decline with Kevin Byard, and then you draft one of the safeties at some point in the draft. And Jordan Poyer last year, 100 tackles, 2 TFLs, 4 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. His coverage numbers compared to Justin Simmons, completion rate a little bit higher at 70.3%. He only gave up 1 touchdown to Simmons' 3. Sometimes that can be because of a coverage breakdown on the back end. That's not the safety's fault. 4 pass breakups, no picks. He's not the ball hawk that Simmons is, but the quarterback rating is also higher. Are there signs of decline with Poyer? His numbers over the last 4 years, they tell a couple of different stories. He could play a little bit more in the box as compared to Simmons. And as I noted, he's not the ball-hawking safety that Simmons is, so the interception numbers are not going to be the same. And his tackle numbers a little bit higher than Simmons, which sometimes isn't always a good thing for a safety because it means that the front end and then the intermediate area of the defense are not playing all that well. So you go back to my point here. Eagles have checked in on a lot of safeties at the NFL Scouting Combine. I imagine they're going to continue to do their due diligence in diving into the tape to look at some of these safeties. And then they're going to look at free agency. Justin Simmons, Jordan Poyer, Eddie Jackson, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, all different types of players who all give you something different, who come at different price points. But Philadelphia is now equipped with more than $40 million in cap space. Next week's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have fun right here on the show. So pick a safety between the two that we talked about on the show today. JS for Justin Simmons, JP for Jordan Poyer. Get hooked up with Roan, 20% off. Code Chat Sports. Link is dangling down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. And my final thoughts here, I'd rather have Simmons. He's a better player, and I'm willing to invest a little bit more money in a player who helps me, who's a better player, who has been tremendous since coming into the league with that long sample size. Another reminder, hit that sub button, youtube.com/Eagles now, or even easier for you, just hit that sub button. You want to give me a follow on X and Instagram, you can find me on there at Chase_Senior, EAGLES. We out.